They are all online, right? So that is not the way to go then.
Maybe few more years.
Huh?
Maybe few more years.
No, it's not. It should not be
Really.
by dictation. There should be some nice manner where it is comfortable, right? Okay, today, so this week the intent is that it is coming, no, my voice. So this week the intent is we should try to finish the portion on continuous to discrete. That is the remaining part of the what do you call prerequisite. Then we are ready to do the design of then we go into the design of this one. But after that I just want to spend maybe one class or so to give a lecture on numeric formats. Will be helpful for your implementation. Then probably we could jump to design of the controllers. So we saw in the last class filters, general filters, IIR filter, how to obtain the state equations from the canonical models. Okay. So even if you don't have the canonical models, you can write down the state equation such that the order of the system matches with that of the denominator of the characteristic polynomial. So you will find that when you are simulating or when you are trying to implement in your discrete domain some common filters, we call filters, everything is filters in the digital domain, low pass filter. Okay. So how is a low pass filter looking like? So you can use this nice simple filter to do low pass operation, something like a by s plus a in the continuous domain. So we pass the input stream through a delay, unit delay, scale it with A1, summation, and you have a feedback term and B1. So what you do for A1, you give a value 1 minus e to the power of minus at, okay, and B1 is e to the power of minus at. So this a is the tunable parameter here, which is like the time constant, okay, t by tau kind of thing. Okay. So you use a to you look at the wave shape and then you can tune this. So in the feedback portion put e to the power of minus at, in that portion you can put it as 1 minus e to the power of minus at. You could directly use the value of a as you give in a by s plus a. Okay. So that also can be used here, but it may not be exactly 1-to-1 same, but you will get cutoff frequency more or less similar. Good place to start. And transfer function for this, what is the transfer function for this? You can write it down by inspection. What is, I will call this one as Hz. See the numerator, numerator consists of the feed forward portion, right? A naught plus A1 z power minus 1 plus A2 z power minus 2, so on. So if you look at this particular filter, A naught is 0, so A1 1 minus e to the power of minus at, this is A1 z power minus 1, that is all in the numerator. Denominator 1 minus B1 z power minus 1 minus B2 z power minus 2, so on. So you have 1 minus B1 is e power minus at, e to the power of minus at, okay, z to the power of minus 1. Okay. Yeah, you could leave it at that, or you could minus e to the power of minus e. So you see that this has a pole at z is equal to e to the power of minus at. So you can choose the location of the pole accordingly, according to your t, of course, is the sampling time, and this is the transfer function for this low pass filter. Okay, you can use it. It's a very good utility filter where you will use in many places. You use low pass filters in many places, you can use this. Another common one is the difference filter. Actually, it is not derivative, the difference, okay, with sampling time as the time step. So here you have an input stream. Pardon me?
How you took the A1 and B1 in the last?
In the previous one? There, yes. A1 is, oh, you mean why I took this one, isn't it? It is, see, you have your A by S plus A, okay. Of course, you can take the Z transform of that one, but I will not ask you to do the Z transform of Laplace variable and then get the this one. What would be much more appropriate is you take, let us say, your low pass filter, A by S plus A kind of a low pass filter, find its time response, okay. Then I do the sampling, okay, I get the points, okay. You make the closest fit, you will see that 1 minus e to the power of minus at is the fit in the case of the numerator, which is the A1, and in the case of the B, e to the power of minus at. Always go from the time response, just like we did in the triangle, right. Take it, sample points, and then sample points make the Z transform in terms of k, k minus 1, k minus 2, k minus 3. Okay. So this is a well tried out filter, okay, well tried out filter, just like A by S plus A in the continuous domain in the digital domain, okay. There is no derivation for this, okay. You don't derive it, you it is actually a closed map for the existing continuous domain transfer function, okay, because you also have the sampling time coming into the picture, okay. What I would say, the best way would be you take any filter, for example second order filter, you get the time response, simulate, get the time, then you fix the sampling time, sample it, okay. Then you get the Z transformed variable. That would be your Z transformed this one. Try to get the closest fit. You can get the closest fit in terms of, so this way, okay. So this is something which is there in the literature after many years of experience by the people, okay. You can use that directly. The difference filter also consists of one single Z power minus 1 delay. I am going to scale both the KT sample and the K minus 1T sample, okay, present and the previous sample with A0 A1, sum them up and then take Yn. This is a FIR, okay, only the feed forward terms coming in there. If I put A0 is equal to 1 by T and B1 is equal to minus 1 by T. So you basically have y of k equals a naught for this particular example. So, this is the delta t. So, this is basically your delta u and delta t. Delta t is the sample time t, and that is the difference in the values of the input stream. So, this you can always write it down as u of z, z power minus 1 u of z by t. Y of z by u of z is right. See that the location of the pole is at 0, and is the character of an FIR filter. Of course, in this case it is evident directly, but the moment you say that there is all the poles of the filter are locating itself at z is equal to 0, it is an FIR filter. There is no feedback path. And another important filter is the integrator. So, you have a low pass differentiator, it's not possible to implement it directly. So, the nearest will be the difference, and the integrator, accumulator. So, you have the sample the z minus 1 unit delay, you scale the present value, scale the previous value sigma yn, and this is very important in the case of the integrator. You are feeding back the output, and in the case of the integrator this is always 1, B1. That is the hallmark, the characteristic. So, let us say for example, there are many algorithms here. Okay. This is fixed for the integrator, this portion is fixed, all integrators, the feedback portion. The feed forward portion is where there are a lot of algorithms which you can use. So, let us say if a naught is equal to 1 by t, t is the sampling time, a1 you make it 0, one of the algorithms. Okay. B1 equals 1, this is always 1 for the integrator. The transfer function is Tz by z minus 1. You could also do it the other way around. You could take A1 and make A0 0. Okay. So, this is backward Euler rule and this is the forward Euler's rule. Okay. And you could take both, could get the trapezoid or the Tustin's integrator. So, like that. Okay. Anyway, we will revisit that a bit later. So, these are 3 important filters that you should keep in your library and use that for your simulation and design, and basically using these primitives you can make more complex filters. Okay. Yeah, probably now just for a brief moment we will look at S domain also, and just for the sake of translating our mental picture from S domain to the Z plane mapping. So, Z equals e to the power of St. This is the relationship between Z and S domain parameters, right. You have delta n, and you have a delta t also in the continuous domain, right. So, Laplace transform of this is Z transform of this is also 1. Let us say you delay this. So, delayed delta, right. I have a delayed delta here also, right. Delayed delta. Laplace transform of this is right e to the power of minus s tau. Laplace transform of delta t, which is 1. And here we have z to power minus k, like that. So, if k is 1, z to the power of minus 1 for one sampling time interval tau equal to t. Okay. So, by comparison, by analogy, you will see that z power minus 1 equals e to the power of minus s t, okay. Or we could just say relationship between the parameters z parameter and the s parameters originates in this fashion, okay. It is not actually a derivation, do not derive, but actually in the original in the old literatures, you will find that the Z transform starts with the definition, which is like this, Z defined as e to the power of St. Okay. But we started slightly differently, but this is the relationship you can get from looking at the delta function itself. Okay. Now, we are quite familiar with this, right. What is this? This is the S plane, right, the real axis and the omega axis of the S plane. And if I port these variables into this S plane variables, so this relationship becomes Z equals e to the power of sigma plus j omega t. Now, how do the various points on the S plane map onto the Z plane? So, let us just have a look at that. Okay. It also has an x and the y axis. Okay. We will call that one as the Z plane, and consider the point, most important point, the origin point, because a pole here would mean pole at s is equal to 0 means 1 by s, and 1 by s is an integrator in the continuous domain. How does it reflect onto the discrete domain? Okay. So, this is in the S plane 0 comma 0, 0 comma 0, right. I am just writing this as e power sigma into e to the power of j omega t, sigma t. So, this portion is 0, e to the power of 0. So, this is 1. So, this comes in this form, right, z e to the power of sigma t into e to the power of. So, this is, I will say, r e to the power of j theta. So, this portion will be, okay, putting it in the polar form, okay, e power 0 1, and e to the power of j0 angle 0. So, where should the point be? So, it should be 1 angle 0. Okay. So, 1 angle 0 is here at point 1 comma 0, right. So, let me take another point. So, I will take the point where sigma is 0, same on the imaginary axis, and height of pi by 2 t, pi by 2 t. Okay. So, the radius of that vector is 1, continues to be 1, angle pi by 2, right. So, at angle pi by 2 here you will see. Is that clear? Now, what happens to all the points in between here? Where will they come? All these points. I am pointing by the arrow, right. So, let us say all these points, circle. You see sigma is 0. So, the radius portion what we say will be 1 only, and only angle changes, angle is increasing. Okay. Angle is increasing from 0 to pi by 2 in this case. So, you will see that all of them fall on part of a unit circle. Okay. It goes like that. So, let me keep continuing up like this, and same 0 comma pi by t. Okay. Omega is pi by t now. So, it is at angle pi. So, this will continue and you will get somewhere here, okay, pi. So, this is the mapping point for this. So, this would map in here, and all in between points here would come on to this portion of the circle. Now, consider the other part. Now, let us say I move clockwise in this way, because let us say I want to look at the negative portion of the imaginary axis. So, let us say a point minus pi by 2 t, just like you had this point here which is pi by 2 t, this is minus pi by 2 t, 0 comma, and that should reflect somewhere here. Okay. And another point here minus pi by t would come and overlap at the same point here, right, and all other intervening points between these two are falling on this portion of the unit circle. So, it is a total complete unit circle. So, if you see the imaginary axis from minus pi by t to pi by t, minus pi by t to pi by t, all this portion of the imaginary axis falls on the unit circle, maps to the points, the locus is unit circle on the z plane. Okay. Now, so consider this point origin, okay, and this maps here. You should also recognize this, right. What was the transfer function for the integrator? Transfer function of the integrator. See, denominator is what? It is the feedback portion of your IIR filter. There is only one delay element, only one z to the power of minus 1, and B1 is, the scaling is 1. So, it is 1 minus z power minus 1. Numerator can be anything, right. It could be the simple filter that we saw, Euler's backward rule, forward rule, it could be Runge-Kutta, all those things would come onto the numerator. So, denominator, if you look at z minus 1, at z is equal to 1, okay, the integrator action maps into s is equal to 0, 1 by s equal to 0 for that one. So, you will see that it is not odd to be at z is equal to 1. Okay. Now, I take this pi by t and minus pi by t, this segment here. Okay. Both these pi by t and minus pi by t are mapping onto this point. Now, consider the left of that, the stable area. In the S plane, we say all these are stable, right, left of the S imaginary axis of the S plane. Where should they lie? Now, if you take any point here, any point in this, what is sigma? Sigma is negative, right? So, LHS, left half of S plane. Sigma is negative, less than 0. Okay. So, what does it mean there? E power, it will be within unity, the radius part e power sigma t e power j omega t. So, this part will become less than 1. So, I know that it should fall somewhere within, and as you start going away from the imaginary axis, sigma starts becoming more and more negative. Okay. So, let us say for example, I traverse in this fashion. So, let us say my locus is like this, take the red line. What should happen in the z plane? Yeah. So, you start with this point, you will start there, which is 1, and if this is your unit circle, this starts going in that fashion, all right. Radius continuously decreases. Or if I take a line which goes towards infinity, this will go on to 0. Okay. So, every point here should lie within the unit circle. So, this means that the stable region, as far as our discrete domain is concerned, is inside the circle. Okay. Now, what about, of course, unstable region? All these portions outside onto the right of the S plane, all the points on the right half of the S plane have sigma which is positive. So, this would have a value greater than 1. So, wherever it be on the right of the S plane, know that sigma is greater than 1, which means the radius is greater than 1. So, it has to lie outside the S plane, sorry, it should lie outside the unit circle. So, that is the unstable region outside there, inside is the stable region. Now, let us say if I take another point here beyond 3 pi by t, okay, and take that portion, that section left off, where do they lie? It should lie inside itself, right? Isn't it? Because the angle, if you see, now 3 pi by t, 3 pi, where does it fall? It will fall, it will overlap on this. 5 pi, it will overlap on this, okay. So this here 0, 2 pi, 4 pi will overlap on these points. Like that, on every point on the unit circle, you can have concentric disks, and each disk is 2 pi by t width on the S-plane. That is the effect of sampling. So in the sampling, when you take, if you take a band limited signal, okay, omega m, you sample it, what happens? This gets duplicated, right? So you will have right. Centered around omega c, 2 omega c, 3 omega c, and with the bandwidth of omega m, they start getting duplicated in the frequency domain, and that we know, isn't it? In the pole 0 domain, what is happening is that you have the S-plane, the S-plane splits minus pi by t to pi by t. What is the significance of this points? Pi by t, exactly. So if you take, see, what is t? T is your sampling time, right, or sampling. What is 1 by t? In this, two pi by t should be your sampling time. Here, what is the sampling? This is the carrier, right? This is omega c by 2, right? And you don't want any of the frequency components of your band limited signal to exceed that one, right? So this point here, okay, omega c by 2 is pi by t, half the sampling. So that is your limit, okay. So we are taking those two limits. So this is 2 pi by t, which is omega c. Okay. So this half is this one, if you take on both sides. This is 3 omega c by 2, right? So on. So every omega c. So this also gets split up in this fashion, 3 pi by t, and you could also go the other way, extend. So you will have this cut into strips of height 2 pi by t. and all that is needed for you is this. Everything should reside within that. All your poles and zeros should reside within that. If you do a sampling properly, then you should be able to extract this portion out. You leave out all that, right? That is what we want to do when you want to do reconstruction. You sample, becomes like this, you have duplicates, then you try to filter out and extract only the fundamental signal wave shape, right? Fundamental profile, which would also mean that I am only trying to take out that portion of the S-plane, which would also mean in the Z domain I am going to take corresponding to the fundamental strip of the S-plane that fundamental disk of the Z-plane. So, there will be a set of disks stacked up, then you take only the fundamental disk which is at the origin. All other disks you have to discard, they are filtered out. Okay. So, that is the idea. So, we are restricting ourselves to only in the case of a sampled system, restricting to minus pi by t to pi by t, okay, and in the frequency domain to the fundamental portion of the bandwidth profile, and in the Z domain to the disk, unit circle disk, which is corresponding to the fundamental strip in the S plane. So, that is what we are looking at. So, this would overlap onto this, and if I am having another strip that will also overlap onto that, so on infinitely. So, you have infinite disks. So, in every disk the inside is the stable zone, the outside is the unstable zone. So, all our focus should be on this unit circle and the inside of the unit circle. So, henceforth, of course, we will now no longer be looking at the S plane. S plane was just for giving us a map. You will be looking at only the Z plane unit circle. That is the key. Okay. Everything should be within the unit circle. It is actually a much more easier to imagine because it is finite space. Okay. The points are infinite inside, but the space is much more easily imaginable than a left off of the S plane which can go up to infinity. Okay. So, now the core point which we come now is to convert from continuous to discrete. So, job is that we have x dot is equal to ACX plus BCU, and we would like to bring it to xk plus 1 AD xk plus BD UK with sampling time as the input. So, at this point I want to also make a mention, what is this? This is not only the plant, but all other dynamics up to the point of digitization. So, let us say I have the simplified control block diagram. Controller, plant, taking the feedback, this is the sensed signal, and you do something, right. Somewhere here is your digital domain where you have your ADC, analog to digital converter. Okay, sample and hold is there within that, right? So before that, what do? You scale. Scaling is algebraic, don't have to worry. You filter it, right? You band limit it, right? Why do you band limit that? Recall that you have the signal amplitude profile versus frequency in this fashion. This is the fundamental part. This is omega m. Okay. You are sampling, let us say I am sampling at some omega c. So it duplicates omega c minus omega m, omega c plus omega m, and so on. It goes to omega c, right. Now, if it is band limited, no problem, you can reconstruct it. How do you reconstruct it? I put a filter with some minus x dB per decade and attenuate all other things, right. So then what I have, the output of the filter is the fundamental profile. But this is not so like this always. You will have going like that. Right, there will be harmonics in the signal which will carry forward to a very large value, and we don't know what happens. So when you now sample here, you will see that this segment, I'll put that in red. The second one only I will take. It goes like that, right? Right. So there is overlap. So when you take a frequency, when you take a particular frequency, some frequency omega 1, let us say. So at that frequency, there are 2 points here. It could be the high frequency point, the high frequency component of the base profile, or it could be the low frequency component of the immediate next profile, right. So that you cannot distinguish now. There is no way you can separate them, they are not separable. So you will actually not be able to reconstruct the signal at all if it is like this. So the only way is I will have to go much forward in the sampling, right, where this will die down and that dies down, and then I can put a filter and then remove that, which means that I am now increasing my sampling frequency. It's called aliasing, right. Now at this frequency omega 1, there is an alias, either this or that, and you don't know to which it belongs, and that particular component, whether it belongs to the base profile or to the next profile, okay. And thereby you will not be able to reconstruct the signal. You don't have enough information to do that. So what we do alternately is that you cut off. So before itself you sample, you cut off the signals, you filter them out. So that is why we put a filter here, such that you band limit these portions and all. I am trying to you put a pre-filter called anti-alias filter. This versus omega, this is gain, and just like that. Okay. What you are trying to do is put a filter which will band limit it. So, all these are attenuated, very low gains. Okay. All these are attenuated, effectively this goes off, and effectively I have only the band limited signal. These are all attenuated because the attenuation value here would be pretty high. So, this will not be a problem. So, which means that every signal that you are sensing should pass through one filter called the anti-alias filter, band limit it, then go to the sample and hold and goes inside the digital domain. So, if this is second order and this is first order, so overall the order is third order, right. So, you should augment this dynamics with this. So, let us say for example, I am having here A by S plus A. This should be taken with this together. If this is X BU, this and this you augment. This one more differential equation will come. Okay. Output of this is again another state. You take that one as another state and attach it there, right. So, you will have X dot and let us say XF filter, this is XF. Okay. So, this will have XF dot is equal to, so let us say AF XF plus BF UF. UF in fact would be this for that, for this block, right. So, this you will attach it here. X, XF, this is B, U. So, like this. So, these portions will come in to the picture here. Now, this is the augmented state equation. Along with all the filters that you have put, this plus this. And as far as your total digital world is seeing, it is seeing them together, all those dynamics together. Okay. So, this is what you will have to present to this as a converted discrete domain state equation. So, there are three methods. One is called the pole zero map. This is a heuristic method, very simple, just rules. That is the logic is based on the primary conversion z equal to e power st. Based on that logic, an empirical kind of set of rules for this. We will have a look at that later. Numerical integration, you see 1 by s. 1 by s is the integration in the s domain. Likewise, equivalent integration in the z domain, and then equate s and whatever that z value, and replace where all s is there in the transfer function with the equivalent integrator. And third, the most practically closest equivalence is the hold equivalence, like you have the sample and hold, okay, the sample and hold conversion, right. So, hold equivalence is what we will finally use in most of our cases, that one the zero order hold equivalence, and the majority of cases we will do that, use that. Okay, pole zero map. I think we will stop here at this point and continue in the next